What's up, YouTube? Poor Man Podcast reacts back with another video. Give me the HBO special. That's the Help a Brother Out special. Hit the like and subscribe button for more content. Today's video is going to be study finds women prefer bad boys over charming men. Let's get right into the video. I don't want to waste y'all time.
Just decided.
There is a study that came out. I don't think it was really any surprise, unfortunately. It was in the Psychology and Social Personality Bulletin, and it talks about first date behavior. And apparently, men on first dates, if you're kind to them, they like that. Okay.
Do they like it?
Not so much
food at the fair.
It's not so
A lot
much,
of guys would.
Not so much for women, though. We don't like kindness.
No, we don't.
What is that about us? We kind of like you to be a little bit
a bad boy.
Yes.
I don't understand that either. I mean, as I grew up a little bit, I mean, my husband, I wouldn't say he's a bad boy. I mean, he has enough of that. But I agree with that. We are so like, we think that the bad boy is going to protect us if we get into trouble or whatever it is. And yeah, we don't like the nice guy.
Something
So
alluring to that.
I have a theory about this, and this is like if you read about literary trends and like what happens. So in romance novels, there's a formula that they follow. They all follow it. So if you've read them, this will be familiar to you. So it's the heroine, the woman, and she meets the guy, and he's brooding, and he's dark, and he's mysterious, and he's closed off to women until she comes along, and she has like the magic whatever to like
magic key,
unlock him and make him this
nice, caring, compassionate.
Yes.
Okay.
It's like she has to
deep
take
down
him.
and
Right.
pulls it out of him.
Yes, she's the exception to the rule, and I wonder if, as women as a whole, if that's what we look for. Because I know with Scott, it was the same way.
That's exactly what it is. It's trying to be the exception to the rule. When I have conversations with women and we talk about relationships and we talk about some of the dynamics between men and women, women will oftentimes go to the one-off chance of something happening and use that as evidence to support their claim. For example, like Ciara with Russell Westbrook and single mothers having a disadvantage in the dating market. I will say, hey, if you have children, it's going to make it a little harder for a man to want to commit to you. And they'll go, no, look at Ciara and Russell Westbrook. So they'll go off the one-off chance and expect that to be the exception and expect that to be their circumstances. So I do see that a lot. It's the tale of the Beauty and the Beast. Women have been seeing it since kids. You got to take this man, he's a monster, and you want to turn him into this beautiful Prince Charming. The only thing is they stop at the marriage. They don't tell you on the after effect that after women get this guy that's quote-unquote alpha, or whatever people use these keywords, but let's just use them for the sake of what I'm saying here. So women will get these guys that they call alphas, and then they'll marry them. So they'll get them to the point where they're married. They'll turn them into betas and able to, in order to raise children. And then they'll divorce them, file for divorce, take half their stuff, and then go try to find another dude that was the stereotypical guy that they chased in the first place. So it's just very interesting to see how that cycle goes, and nobody really addresses it. And it's just something I've observed, and I think it's a little strange. Let's get back to the video though.
He was a little hard to get at first.
And you like that?
I did.
It was a challenge.
Yes. You like the challenge.
The challenge.
Yeah.
Kimber, do you date good guys or nice guys or bad boys?
I usually go towards the kind of nerdy, bookish boys that are kind. To me, like that's very attractive to me when someone is kind to others for no reason. So
great, Kimber. Thanks for making
That's so beautiful. That's beautiful.
I have a single brother that exactly just like
is he
that.
kind? Yeah.
Yes.
He's a sweetheart.
No, but I mean, I have absolutely been attracted to the bad boy, but I've been burned by that. So I think that's why I realized that, you know, for longevity and in the end, you know, and, you know, just having, you know, respect for myself and, you know, not, what I hate is when a guy's like, I'm going to call you, and then they don't call, and then you're wondering, and it is the chase, and it's so easy to feed into that.
I have absolutely no self-respect, too. That's maybe what
No!
Exactly, and what I'm happy about is that they're at least admitting it, right? So she said, in my past, I chased these guys and I've been burnt by that, and so then I go and find a good guy. But a lot of good guys are kind of being tired. They're sick and tired of being the second option, right? They're tired of you getting used and abused by the bad guys, having this stigma or this general resentment towards men because you've dealt with bad guys, and then carrying that into a relationship that you have with a now good guy, and that good guy has to deal with that baggage that you brought into the relationship because you just made bad choices in the men you selected previous. And kind of what they're getting at now, they're talking about something, it really comes down to an addiction. There's plenty of studies that have been done on this. When in terms of dopamine increases when there's uncertainty of a reward, right? So there was this test done. I believe it was apes, it was monkeys they were using, and they were tracking the dopamine in their brain, and if every hour on the hour they gave them a treat or whatever it may be, and they knew they could expect the treat, the dopamine levels would naturally decrease after a while. But if they gave them a treat on 1 hour, and then they waited a couple hours to build some uncertainty, and then they gave them a treat, and then they waited a few hours or a few days even, and then gave them another treat, that build up, that anticipation shoots your dopamine up through the roof. And of course, people use this, they exploit this via social media apps and in casinos. They do this all the time. So they get the machines all loud and going, showing you win. You'll put $1 in, you'll win 32 cents, but the lights flashing and everything's going off, and you're building that anticipation up for that big win. So essentially, it's a gambling addiction is really what it is. You're addicted to that high dopamine you get from those guys that bring uncertainty. And when you're in a situation where there is certainty, you can call on the guy and he'll answer the phone every time. That's seen as boring. And oftentimes you hear a lot of women say that those relationships are boring. But let's continue the video.
Oh my gosh, no.
But I think there's something to, like, then they don't call, and you think that maybe you're going to be the one girl that he called. Like, you know he's a player, you know he's because he has a reputation, but you think, yeah, but not with me.
I think the bad boys are just short term. We all know that.
Yeah, they are.
They're short term.
You know, I know you said that that guys like a girl that's kind. I've been told, maybe they're just saying this, but I've been told that I'm too sweet, or they thought I was too nice, and maybe didn't ask me out.
And that's usually
again.
something that women say to men.
Yeah.
Yes. He's too nice. He's too. So that's
I just been twisted and got this all backwards here. Just switching roles here. So yeah, just interesting perspective.
Okay, tell me what you think about this. And I'm curious, especially with you, Kimber, just being the age range that you are. You just had your 28th birthday yesterday.
I had my 26th.
You did
yesterday.
again for the second time.
Mine too.
Happy birthday. Thank you.
So they say that 1/3 of hookups actually end up in marriage. Ooh. So when they say don't have sex before you're married, don't do the one night stand hookup. They say that actually 1/3 of the time those end up in long-term relationships.
But how many of those thirds end up in divorce? That's what I want to know.
That's a good question.
Well, hold on, I'm confused with the hookup. Like, what do you mean 1/3 of hookup? Like, is that a one night stand?
What is that hookup?
What is a hookup?
There's a lot of gray area with the hookup language. I think it constitutes anything from like a makeout to all the way sex. So I think with this article, I take it as sex.
Sex.
Yeah.
So basically, no sex before marriage.
No, just like you meet someone at
like
a bar,
one night stand,
and
it's
you
kind
take
of
them
like
home.
a one night stand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You take them home, things get crazy, you end up having sex, and everybody knows that if that happens, the chances usually of that turning into a long-term relationship are like nothing.
Yeah.
Well, they say 1/3 of the time we're wrong. 1/3 of the time it ends up in a long-term relationship.
I have friends who are currently dating someone from a hookup, or even are married and
From a
have
one night stand almost, or like a quick fling.
Yeah, just like a quick time, and
like date number 2, they already had sex, and
they got married.
Date number 1, they met at a bar, and
is this an age thing? Do you think it's like I don't want to say like a millennial thing, but like I know that the girls who I know who are late 20s, early 30s, there's a different they have a different attitude about sex.
You know what I think it is?
I know that this is like every woman's wet dream. Like, you really want to hear this stuff, and that you can go out and 1/3 of hookups end up in marriage. I'll look into the studies myself. I call shenanigans, though. All the stuff that I've read up on women being promiscuous, it leads to more depression. It leads to further anxiety. It leads to shorter and less happy marriages. And that is exclusive to women. The more partners you have before marriage, the shorter the marriage will be, and the less happy you will actually be in that marriage. So all the statistics that I looked at says the contrary. But this is just kind of me closing this up. This looks like this video is going off the rails here to somewhere I don't want to go with the video. But as you can see, this is all from women coming in out of it's coming from an older perspective, right? So all of these women are a little older. And all of them said that in their younger years, they've dealt with men that were the bad boys, and they liked the chase and this and that. And eventually they got their heart broken because they realized that ain't where it is. It's just you're addicted to the dopamine. You're addicted to the rush of the chase of that man not being there. And maybe he'll be there this time. Maybe he'll take me on a date. Maybe he'll commit to me. So it's just really interesting to see that once you get to a certain age, and it is the wall, it is the 30, 35 years old. I believe it's being pushed back to 35, 40, if you ask me. Women, you know, are being able to look better and better at older ages with the makeup and the cosmetics and all the other stuff that's being implemented too. And if you add in exercise with that, you look at Nicole Murphy. Of course, there's some genetic components to that, but you can look really good at an older age if you take care of yourself, people. So, but it is really interesting to see how the older women did do that. They acted in that behavior, and it really just solidifies some of the theories that we have over here in terms of women participating in that behavior for a certain amount of years until they realize, hey, this isn't where it's at. Let me go find a nice guy at 27 in her case, at 27 years old, and maybe later for the other women on the other women on the panel. But it is really interesting to see that is just a natural cycle. And guys, this is something that you just have to deal with. It looks like this has always been a part of human nature. And the best thing you can do to be prepared for situations like this is if you're a nice guy, stay on your purpose. If you already have a focus, it will give you goals and something else to focus on instead of women. Because oftentimes I see nice guys, quote unquote, they'll have a woman come into their life and they'll get completely derailed off where they were going, and they'll put all their focus on the women. And as you can see, women don't like when they're your only priority, especially in the dating phase. Maybe when you move over to marriage and engagement, you know, you can start seeing that more as a priority when it's starting to build a family. But in terms of when you're first starting, make sure you have a goal and something you're focused on. The woman is just something that you're doing on the side. It's your money ain't going to the woman. Your money's going towards what you're trying to do. Your time isn't going all towards the woman. It's going to the things you want to do. And, you know, you'll be a part of that group that women say they like to chase or whatever it may be. Just have something you're focused on, and it'll all pan out for you anyway. Because you see, at a certain age, you become the one that's desired. Till next time.